Thank you. I was just going to ask if everything was coming through good. You're Johnny on the spot today, so thanks. So you guys want to learn some pretty cool, relatively easy ZZ Top riffs. Do I have any of my regulars here tonight aside from Jersey? And if we have anybody new tonight, anybody that this is your first time tuning in, let me know. Let's have a little roll call. Where you watching tonight? I'm in Utah. Oh, a Martin backpacker. Those are pretty cool. They're kind of weird to try to play sitting down, because of the way they're shaped. But for what they are, they actually sound pretty good. I was actually kind of surprised. First time, Ohio. Hi, Dan. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to sound like a full, acoustic guitar, but I don't know. They're kind of cool. They're weird looking. They kind of, to me, they look like a lute or something like that. I think they're kind of cool. Yeah, so I'd like to welcome everybody out, and as usual, for the riffs and stuff that I'm going to be going over tonight, there is tabs available for it for free. There's a link in the description where you can download the tabs so you can follow along with what we're doing here tonight. Oh, you're getting tuned? Great. The silent guitar, are you talking about that one that the sides are actually just like it's a frame, it's just completely hollow all the way through? I used to have one like that. It was made by Yamaha, and when you could plug it in, but if you weren't plugged in, you couldn't even hardly hear the thing. I got it from one of my students who was in the military, and he got it in Kuwait. It was kind of cool. I hung on to it for a while, and then I ended up selling it because I just never really used it. But it was kind of cool. It was weird because you take it apart. When you put it together in the case, it breaks down really small. And then you put the sides on it, it feels like a regular guitar. It actually worked really good. I was surprised at how good it sounded and stuff, even just with headphones on. All right. So again, anybody, for those of you that are just joining us, there are tabs available in the description. You can click on that link in there, and you can download the tabs for the riffs that we're going to be going over tonight. So as you can tell by the title, we're going to be looking at some ZZ Top stuff. So I've prepared 4 ZZ Top riffs for you. Now, one thing that I do want to point out, and I'm no expert on this subject by any stretch, but I believe that all of this is all you're going to be able to play every one of these in standard tuning. You're not going to have to do any any special tuning or anything. But I think that Bill Gibbons actually does use open tunings. Like one of the ones that we're doing, I've had numerous people tell me that, oh yeah, that's originally in an open tuning, but these are just the way I figured out how to play them by ear, just in standard tuning. All right, so hopefully you've had a chance to grab those tabs. The first 3 are pretty short. It won't take too long, but the 4th one is kind of long, and I don't want to get into our typical situation where we're out of time and I haven't covered everything. Yes, rest in peace, Dusty Hill. Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. And I thought it was really, I mean, I don't know the details of it, of the situation, so I'm not going to make any, accusations or judgments or anything like that. But I thought that was a little strange that he died. And then, like, literally 2 days later, they were playing live again with uh, a new bass player. And the new bass player, from my understanding, what I was told or what I read or something, was that he was like their guitar tech or something for a long time, and that this was Dusty Hill's wish, was to um, for them to carry on like that. I don't know. I just thought it was just really weird. I was like really shocked because he died, and then like 2 days later they were in concert in my town, and I just thought that was really bizarre. All right, so the first one we're going to look at is Lagrange. So none of these were like doing the entire song. This is just like some of the main riffs, except for the last one has quite a bit more material in it than this one does. Yeah, I kind of figured that they knew. I don't think it was like a surprise that he just all of a sudden up and died, and they had this guy out, ready to go. I'm sure it was all set up like that. I just thought it was a little, I don't know. It just seemed a little strange to me that it was, so quick. All right, so for Lagrange, the first thing we're going to do here is I got to move my music here so I can see. I guess that's good enough. Okay, we're going to we have just like an A chord. So you're going to want to do this by barring. So I'm just barring my first finger across the second fret of the D, G, and B string, even though we're not really going to be playing the B string. Well, mainly what we're looking for is just these three notes. This A, E, and another A here. Now, with this, one of the things with it that's it's the timing on it that's kind of unusual. So it's made up of eighth notes, but there's lots of rests in there. So we start off, and this is just in 4/4 time. So it's just like, each measure we count to 4. So we've got 1 and then we rest on the downbeat of 2, and we play the chord again on the and of 2. Then we rest on the downbeat of 3, play on the and of 3, rest on the downbeat of 4, and play on the and of 4. So that makes the, you got the, it's a little, it's kind of strange, especially if you're somewhat of a beginner. It's kind of naturally wired into us to have everything come on the downbeat. So it can just be a little bit tricky. I'm probably like way, over worrying about it. But when I play this, because if you're familiar with the song, at the beginning of it, while this part's going on, it's just got the percussion where I think he's just like doing like rim shots, like kind of a thing. So if you're playing this by yourself, if you're just going, it doesn't really, you're kind of not filling it in enough, in my opinion. So what I do is I start with 2 downstrokes, and then I actually do upstrokes. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. This is just kind of the way I've always done it. But I do the upstroke, and then when I when I do the rest, I actually kind of slap the strings, so I get that kind of that percussive in there on the downbeats, like that. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And then and so we're in the second measure now. So in the and of 2, we hit the open A string, and then we're going to take our pinky and we're going to put it onto the 5th fret of the D string. And then we're going to hit A and D together, then just A. And then you're going to take your pinky from being on the 5th fret of the D string, and we're going to move it up to the G string. So we get that minor 6th interval there, and then follow that with the open A string, and that comes in on the and of 4. So it's like, Now, starting on the next measure, I went to the first show after Dusty passed away here in Tuscaloosa. Oh man, I got a video of it on YouTube. Oh, cool. I'll check that out because I don't know. I haven't heard anything with them playing with the new guy. And I saw like literally 5-second clip of it, like right when it first happened, but that was it. All right, so that's our first two measures. And then starting on the third measure, we're just going to keep our first finger here. And we already have our pinky on the 5th fret. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit this on the down beat of 1, and we're going to do just a slight bend. We're just doing a 1/4 step bend with our pinky on that G string. Back to, and then take it back off. So we're just getting the 2nd fret of the D and G string again. So it's like. So getting that groove on there is what really kind of makes it, that's what's unique about it. That's what makes it really sound good. So on here, I've been made aware that that some people are having a little bit of a problem with being here and then reaching that 5th fret. So really, if you think about it, that's really not a big stretch. So if my first finger's on the 2nd fret, my 2nd finger would be on the 3rd, my 3rd would be on the 4th, and my 4th finger would be on the 5th. So it's just straight up like that. So if you're having problems with reaching that, more than likely it's your posture. So if you're trying to do it with your thumb up here and you've got your wrist bent this way and maybe you're like kind of cupping the back of the neck like this, that's going to make it impossible. Really get around like this if you have to. I mean, bring your thumb around to where you're literally, got to make sure that this is even showing up in the camera. Yeah, so if you're clear back here towards the bottom side of the neck and you've really got your wrist bent like this, it makes it so you can stretch a lot further. I've got really small hands and I can stretch from 2 to 7 that way. I mean, it's not super comfortable, but I'm not going to play it like that either. So you're this thing. Just like that. So does anybody have any questions about what we just went over? And I'm pretty sure that, like I said, I've been told that a lot of their stuff's in open tuning, but I'm pretty sure that Lagrange actually is in standard tuning. Everything sounds correct to me as far as even which strings they're being played on by the different tones. So I don't think that I don't think that this particular piece that they are playing in an open tuning or anything. Let's see. Oh yeah, playing with your fingers, so you're like playing like. Yeah, you could do it that way too. I didn't even think about that. I've always played it with a pick, but yeah, that would make it good. Jesus Left Chicago and Open G. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me because the next one we're going to look at, I've been told anytime I ever play it, I always get told, oh, it's in an open tuning. Well, that's cool, but sometimes it's neat just to be able to play a fun, familiar sounding riff without having to, change your tuning too. So the next one we're going to look at is Sharp Dressed Man. And this is the one, like I said, I've been told numerous times that it's in an open tuning, but again, I don't know for sure. So for this one here, it's based out of just like a bunch of power chords. So we've got fifth power chords, like that, you've probably already done. And then we've got inverted power chords where they're just on the same fret, adjacent strings on the same fret. So what I mean by that too, by the way, the being an inversion. So these power chords that you've done a million times is a fifth. And so what I mean by that is we'll just look at the one we're looking at here. First one, 8th fret on the low E and 10th fret on the A and the D. So we've got a C and a G. So if we count from C up to G, C, D, E, F, G, it's 5. So that's why they call it a fifth. Now, if we were to take it and reverse the notes, so instead of the low note being C and the high note being G, we're going to change it so the low note is G and the high note is C. Oh, hi. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. You have nothing if you don't have freedom. I think I'm just going to call you Freedom. I think I already said this like last week or a couple weeks ago or something. So yeah, so if you reverse those, so now the low note is G and the higher note is C, G, A, B, C. It's a fourth, so it's an inverted. Hi, Vintage Sound. So it's that's what this is made up of. So you're going to want to put your first finger there on the 8th fret of the low E, third finger on the 10th fret of the A, and fourth finger on the 10th fret of the D. And we're going to play, this is made up of 8th notes too, almost entirely. So we've got 1 and then on the downbeat of 2, we're going to take our third and we're going to leave our first finger where it is. We're going to take our third and fourth finger, we're going to move it up one set of strings. So our third finger will move from the A string to the 10th fret of the D string, and our pinky will go to the 10th fret of the G string. And we're going to play that on the downbeat of 2, and then on the end of 2, we're going to hit where our first finger is here, playing the 8th fret of the low E. Now we're going to take our third and fourth fingers off, so our first finger is now picking up the 8th fret of the D and G string. And then we're going to take our third and fourth finger and just put them back where they were in the first place. So it's got, whoops. So the first measure, and then these, when you play these pedal parts, it's palm muted as too. So that's the first measure. And then on the second measure, we're coming from, we move our third and fourth fingers back up to the G and G string again. Low E, 8th fret, and then put our third and fourth finger back where they were originally again, 10th fret of the A and D string. So that's the riff. Then we come all the way down to the 3rd fret on the low E, and then to the 1st fret of the A string, and we're going to pick that and slide to the 3rd fret, and then jump all the way back up, and it just starts over again. So making that transition from, that's where it's kind of tough. I actually tried, let's see. I tried to figure out an alternative way to do it. Now I can't remember how to do it. I don't want to sit here and bang on it for a half hour trying to figure it out. But a way to kind of play it down here, but it just didn't quite sound right to me. But here, So that's not too terribly tough to play that one. I would think that that should be a riff that most, other than like getting this and getting back up here, that might take a while to get back up to the right place. But just just playing the main meat and potatoes of the riff isn't too terribly tough, and so I think it's something that could be easily picked up. And like I said, it's kind of a cool riff. All right, so any questions on that, or just questions in general? Remember, this is like a Q&A. I'll try to answer any guitar questions and stuff that I can for you. All right. Well, I guess we can move along then. So the next one is Under Pressure. It actually says Got Me Under Pressure on here. I think the song is just called Under Pressure, but I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. And this is similar to the Sharp Dressed Man riff, as that it's got power chords, the fifth power chords, and then the inverted power chords with fourths as well. It also has a pull off that you have to do two strings at the same time, and I think that that's kind of difficult to do. Let's see, so yeah, so we're going to start here where we're going to be playing the 9th fret. Yeah, I know the lyrics say Got Me Under Pressure, but I don't know. Maybe somebody could Google that. Let me know in the comments, so I'll sleep tonight. We're going to be playing the 9th fret of the D and the G string, so I'm just using my 3rd finger, and then I'm going to put my 1st finger onto the 7th fret, but I want to bar it, so I'm picking up the A, D, and G string. Now, we're going to pick starting with, put our 3rd finger down, so we're on 9. Oh, there's a typo on the tabs, I think. It is just Under Pressure. That's what I thought. I bet I typed Got Me Under Pressure. I think that there's actually a mistake on here. So I wish I could just pull the song up really quick and listen to it to make sure. Well, now I'm not sure. My muscle memory is telling me that this is wrong. So I'm just going to show you where it is, and it's just a simple thing that you can just like make a note on your tab or whatever for it. So we go from 9 to 7 on the D and G string, and then your tab's showing you to go to 7 and 7 on the A and D. So, but my muscle memory wants to go to the 9th fret instead of the 7th. So I'm not sure which way is right. So on your transcription on Under Pressure, on the first measure, that 3rd set of notes, that's 7 and 7 on the A and D string, it's either that or they're supposed to be 9s. Maybe here at the end, if I have time, I'll pull it up and check it out. And anyhow, if that same mistake is in measure 3 and measure 5, if it in fact is a mistake. Well, thanks. for the first of all is that I couldn't play. I don't play anything perfect, and I don't think anything's like super. I mean, there's some stuff that's easy, but I know what you're saying though. I've seen that before. I watched a guy. It's been quite a while ago, a couple of years ago, and he did this like just incredible, really fast alternate picking like run, and then he followed it with these string skipping arpeggios, and it was just absolutely sick. And he goes, "Oh, easy, right?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, easy for you to say." But okay, so for Under Pressure, you're supposed to pick the 9 and pull it to 7 like that. So you can do it with one finger, or you could actually use your. To me, it's easier to do it with one finger because then I haven't got to try to make two of them move exactly the same at the same time. Oh, you guys like Tush? Maybe we'll have to look at that one. I don't know. All right, so I'm just going to play it the way that it's the way that I did the tab. So we're going to go pick, pull, A and D string, back to 9, pick it again, pull. So that's the first measure, and that's like that's kind of like the main riff, the recognizable riff from the song. So after you do that, and it doesn't start on the downbeat of 1, by the way. The downbeat of 1 is a rest, and then it's and 2 and 3 and 4. So the last one is actually a quarter note. Like that. So on the second measure, we're going to go down to just an E5. So this is just like the first and second fret, or the second fret of the A and D string. So it's like an E minor, but we're just playing just the low E, the A, and the D. And then we hit that. It's like 1, 2, and 3. You got that. Da, 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 right back into. Just like that. So it's pretty repetitive. You just keep playing that part over again. Obviously, it's like I said earlier, it's not the whole song or anything. Let's see here. Okay, Tush. So I guess Tush is popular. Hey, did you ever get to meet ZZ Top, Uncle D? No, I did not. In fact, I've never even seen him play live or anything. I kind of got into ZZ Top later in the game, sort of like when they came out, or not when they came out, but when I first ever like seen him really was when like those music videos for like Sharp Dressed Man and Legs and stuff came out in the 80s. And I didn't dislike it, but it just didn't really do a whole lot for me. And then in the early 90s, I was playing in this cover band with these guys that I used to call the Geezers, which is kind of funny because they were about the age I am right now, maybe even a little bit younger. Anyway, we did Lagrange, we did Under Pressure, we did Tush. We did quite a few ZZ Top stuff. And after I got to hear a lot of the really old stuff, I was like, wow, this is like really cool. And not to say that anything on Eliminator wasn't good or whatever. It just didn't really do anything for me like the earlier stuff did. All right, so that's the riff for Under Pressure. So any questions or anything about that? Now, if you're having problems being able to do the pull off, you don't necessarily have to do it. You can just pick everything if you're having trouble doing the pull off. it doesn't make that big of a difference, where you could do that. I mean, I encourage you to work on getting the pull off. Anytime you have any kind of like a technique or a riff or something that you can't do, and it's something that you could do, it's not super, crazy hard. I mean, it's one thing to watch somebody do some crazy sweep picking thing and you have no idea how to sweep pick, and to go, oh, okay, I'm going to learn how to do that right now. That's a little more difficult than trying to get that, a pull off or something like that down. So I encourage you that always to try to work with those things, because the more of that kind of stuff that you can do, it just opens up the doors to more stuff that you can play. First 3 albums, probably. That's kind of the story of my life. It's like most bands I like, it's like the first, usually anywhere from 3 to 5 albums are what I really like. And then after that, not so much. Hi, Robert. Oh, awesome. Oh, you've seen ZZ Top 6 times? Blue Jeans. Yeah. Billy Gibbons I don't know. I feel that he's somewhat kind of underrated. I mean, you always hear about him and stuff. I mean, it's like, people know who ZZ Top is and everything. But one of my students sent me a video, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, and it was like an interview with Billy Gibbons, and then he was just playing and noodling and stuff. And the guy's like, he's pretty freaking awesome. I mean, it was like way better than I ever even realized. I always, thought he was good and stuff, but he was doing a lot of really, really cool things. All right. So I guess we can move on to the last one. And in case you didn't get, what the heck? Oh, hold on. There we go. If you didn't, those of you that keep saying about Tush and stuff, it lets me know that you didn't download the tabs. So shame, shame, shame on you. Get your tabs. That is the last one we're going to look at, is Tush. So for this, we're going to do a lot more than just the one riff. We've actually got 12 bars of it. So that way you can kind of play the whole thing. You could, after you get this down, you can kind of play along with the song. And even if there's parts where, because he does this same riff over and over and over again, but he's constantly kind of putting in little changes in it, which is kind of part of his style. I mean, like Lagrange is the same way. It has, he's doing the like what we went over, and then there's the, he does like different variations on it. And so he does that the same thing with Tush. There's just little variations on it. But even if you play just this over it, it's still going to sound really good. Or if you just wanted to jam it, this is like a fun one just to improvise over too. So if you have like a friend, you can take turns playing this part of it. And then, one person plays this, the other one does some soloing over it. First album, first song, Brown Sugar, he plays sevens on his guitar. Yeah, that was the thing he was saying in that interview about the string gauges he used. When I very first started playing, and I had my first electric guitar and I needed to get strings, I went into this local music shop that ain't there anymore to get some strings, and I didn't know shit from apple butter as to what I was buying. I didn't know anything about strings. And GHS, this was back when GHS was in the like plastic envelope and it was all red and then had like the firecracker thing on the front of it. I thought it looked cool packaging. So that's what I got. And then they said, what gauge do you want? And they had 8s, 9s, and 10s. And I just says, oh, let's try the 8s, because I had no idea. Well, needless to say, I was breaking my high E string like every every 30 seconds with that 8. But I stayed with him for a long time because I didn't make the connection that that's what the numbers were referring to, was the size. I mean, I was like 12 or 13, and I didn't know. Best to get the feeling of his playing first, guys. Uncle D is telling us correctly. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, he it's with Billy Gibbons, it's definitely a lot of stuff with feel. All right, so let's look at Tush. Now, this is another one that I was told that is in an open tuning, and I've had people tell me, oh, if you play it in the open tuning, it's a lot easier to it's a lot easier to play in the open tuning, is what my understanding is. I've never tried to do it that way. This is just, like I said, the way that I figured it out by ear. But I am going to show you a way that you can kind of play some of it a little bit easier, but you can't play all of it this way, is the problem. Vintage sound. GHS boomers. Stevie Ray Vaughan used boomers. Are you sure about that? I've never heard that before, and I'm not doubting. I mean, lots of people play boomers. I played boomers for a long time, and then I just kind of got tired of. They just don't seem like they sound new for very long. They sound dead like really quick. That's why I've liked the D'Addario strings I've used. They just sound good for a long time. So Billy Gibbons has like he has like a signature set that's 7s. That's weird. I just can't even imagine. But then again, a lot of times the reason for using the different gauge strings like that is actually for alternate tunings and stuff. Okay, so for Tush, our bass note is this G here. And then you guessed it, we've got more power chords and inverted power chords. And this has also got kind of a shuffle thing that's going to happen in it too. So we've got 1 and 3 and 4 and. So we're going from where I'm playing the 5th fret of the D and G string with my 3rd and 4th finger. My 1st finger is just barring all the way across the 3rd fret. So that way when I take my fingers off, I'm picking up the 3rd fret of the D and the G string. Oh, sorry, I'm developing the hiccups all of a sudden. So we're going to start off. We're going to start off with the two, just this G note, and we're going to palm mute it. So it's 1 and 2, and then back to that low E again for the and of 2. Back to the D and G, now on the 3rd fret. So that's coming in on the and of 3, but it's a quarter note. So it's the and of 3 plus the downbeat of 4, and then on the and of 4, we hit this again. So that's the first measure. Like that. You can ask his brother Jimmy. He knows Stevie. Well, yeah, I would imagine he would. Jersey, I play this intro when I need to feel like I'm getting somewhere. Man, you crack me up. Yeah, he said back in July that he had been playing for over 60 years. Billy Gibbons? God, how old is he? But I guess he'd have to be 70-ish, I would think. Because I mean, didn't their first album come out in like 1971 or something like that? I mean, it was pretty far back, 73 maybe. All right, so this riff right there that we just did, this is kind of a big part of this. So when we go to the second measure, we start back, we're back to the 5th fret again. 1 and 2 and then that's tied to a dotted quarter note. So it takes care of the olive beat 3, the downbeat of 4, and then on the and of 4, we've got this little slide thing here. So the first 2 measures. So we hit this 1 here on the and of 4, and we're going to pick that and slide to 3, which is the downbeat of 1 of the 3rd measure. My plane can crack anything. You're funny, dude. If I ever find myself in New Jersey, I'll look you up. First album came out in 71. Woohoo! That was my first guess, was 71. And I really had no idea, other than I knew that they had stuff in the very early 70s. They've been around almost as long as me. Okay, so after you do that, then it just basically starts over again. But the difference this time is that when we hit this, instead of being on the downbeat of 1, it's on the and of 1, because the first is here. So then and then it just repeats. So those first 4 measures is the it's kind of like, the main riff, and it's just repeated, Now, on the, like I said, I've got 12 measures in here of the song, but I've kind of got it, I skipped over a few little things. So like I was saying a minute ago, if you go to play along with the song, this is like the intro, then the vocals come in, and it's still the same riff, but the timing changes on it. So it's like, it's kind of the same. It's a little bit different. If you actually get this part down, you can kind of pick out the rest of it relatively easy just by listening to it, especially if you slow it down. All right, so we got that main riff. Now we're going to go into this little shuffle part. So this whole thing is really just like a 12-bar blues. So our 1 chord is G. So if our 1 chord is G, then our 4 chord is C, because the 4 chord, 4 is always straight up. The guitar's tuned in 4th. So whatever note you're at, if you're on the 3rd fret of the low E, a 4th from that note is going to be the 3rd fret of the next string up, so on and so forth until you get to the 2nd string, and then you have to go up a half step. Anyway, that's neither here nor there right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this shuffle thing, and it's just like the things like that you've heard before, but since it's C, it's a pretty big stretch. So I've got my first finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string, and my 2nd finger on the 5th fret of the D string. And then we're going to go 1 and then put our pinky down onto the 7th fret of the D string and just keep our first finger where it is, and our 2nd finger for that matter. 2 and then reach up another fret. 3 and 4 and. So So that's you play this again. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read and think at the same time, and I apparently don't have enough brain capacity to do that. Find the older I get, the less RAM I've got up here. Billy was part of a group in the 60s named Moving Sidewalks, formed ZZ Top when Sidewalks cracked. Okay, Alan, with Blend Your Thumb, that was one of the things I was going to talk about here in a second. Okay, so that's a pretty big stretch. So you got so on the second measure, one end, and then we've got this cool like baseline walk-up thing here. We've got 2 open low E's. So this is 2 and to the first fret, 3 and to the second fret, 4 and. So, and then right back into that again. So if we're coming from the beginning, then now we need to go to our 5 chord. So our 4 chord is based around C. So whatever your 4 chord is, up a whole step is 5. So now we're at the 5th fret. So this is D. So we're going to do that kind of that same thing we did. First finger's on the 5th fret of the A string, second finger's on the 7th fret of the D string. And we're going to go put our pinky down on 9 to 10, back to 9. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then move it down a whole step. Do the like what we did before. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we're going to move that whole thing down here. So now my first finger's on the 3rd fret of the low E, second finger's on the 5th fret of the A. Pinky's going to do 7 to 8, 7. Then we just come back up to our 4 chord. We're going to do a regular power chord. Move it up a half step again. So when we come here, this is 1 and 2 and 3, 4, and then on the end of 4 you rest, and then it goes right back into the goes right back into that part again. So this is just like your basic like shuffle kind of a thing. So a couple of alternatives. Oh, is that true? His Moving Sidewalks opened up for Hendrix. That's pretty awesome. That's somebody that it would have been kind of cool to have actually been able to see live. Would have been Hendrix. Okay, so this right here is the part that most people have a problem with because it's such a big stretch. And again, this might be why doing it in open tuning is easier. But an alternative way you can do it is instead of doing it here, so like that's, if you're looking at the transcription on measure 5, instead of doing it here, we're going to move it up to here. So our first finger will be on the 8th fret of the low E, and our second finger will be on the 10th of the A. So it's a C, just like this. But it's a lot easier to do that stretch because the strings are a lot closer together. Or not the strings, God. The frets are closer together. If your strings are closer together, I've heard there's something wrong with your guitar. The frets are closer together, and your arm isn't stretched out here. So you're up in kind of a more neutral place that makes it, it's just going to make it easier to play. So if you did that here, whoops. Okay. Back into that. So when it goes to that other one too, that can make it a little bit easier, and it doesn't really sound that much different at all. Now, another way that you can do it on the beginning part of it is that you can, instead of just barring your, you can actually use your thumb and then like that. I don't ever, you won't see me using my thumb very much at all, unless I'm, if I'm doing like some kind of a chord like D over F sharp or something where I have to. My thumb got munched in a car accident, and it just doesn't there isn't much movement in it, so it's like really hard for me to do stuff like that with my thumb. And even if it wasn't painful, I don't know, maybe I'm just doing it in a wrong, because it just never, there's so many riffs I see people playing with their thumb, and for me it's like a hell of a lot easier to not do that, to play it with a different just with my fingers instead of using my thumb. But for some of you, that might be really helpful. But I think that where some of you guys, where you're having trouble with like making these stretches, doing this part up here is going to make it easier. Okay, so another thing that you could do to really kind of make it easy, but like I said, you're going to have to omit some parts from doing it, is if you put a capo onto your 3rd fret, get it on there so it, now all you have to do is, there's the 5th fret and there's the 3rd fret, because we got the capo on. So you can like, whoops. But you can't do that slide in thing, because this is now your lowest note. Now, this will also make it so when you go to do the that shuffle thing, you can go. But again, now you can't come down and do the cool open 1, 2 thing. But it's a way that, especially if you're a beginner, or if you've got issues with you've got like a hand injury, arm injury, something like that, where some of these things are just feel virtually impossible. That's just an alternative way you can do it, but you have to lose parts of it by doing that. There's lots and lots of songs that I see people make versions of where they use a capo that's like 98% there, but there's like 1 or 2% of the song that just can't be done because the capo has made it so they can't get the low enough note. I remember I did a lesson on that, can't remember how to play it, Chris Ledoux song, This Cowboy's Hat. And I always, people tell me, oh, he's using a capo. Well, he's not, because there's parts where he's, see. Yeah, because he's hammering into that note. So if you put the capo on the 3rd fret, you can't get that note come up into it. And that's like a big part of the sound. And I think it's the same way on this. All right, so those are the ZZ Top riffs that I wanted to go over with you guys tonight. So we still got a little bit of time. So does anybody have any questions or anything? And I just like to let y'all know that I appreciate each and every one of you that's been here, and that, I mean, I'm looking through here. This is like a really great live chat. This is the kind of stuff that makes the boss man happy. So I really appreciate it. If you like what I'm doing, leave comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done it, all that kind of stuff. It really helps and shows that, that you like what I'm doing. Thanks, Jersey. Appreciate it. Freedom, pretty song. Oh, the that one, this Cowboy's Hat. Yeah, it's a pretty cool song. I'm not a huge country music fan. I like a lot of country guitar players. I think that chicken picking stuff is just totally sick. But Chris Ledoux is one of the ones that I kind of, if I had to listen to country and I had a choice, that he'd probably be one of my first ones. I kind of dug his stuff. All right, so nobody has any questions or anything? And again, I appreciate all of you for coming out. This has been a good night. Was going to do it last night, but more technical crap. My internet service is just so shady sometimes. It's really aggravating. His son Ned is awesome. Yeah, like Waylon Jennings too. Ned. So that's Chris Ledoux's son. I didn't even know he had a son. And he actually spent a lot of time here in my neck of the woods, but I didn't know him or anything like that. When am I on next? Well, normally it's a Tuesday. It's every Tuesday and Wednesday. But like I said, I got messed. I had problems yesterday. So next Tuesday, for sure, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Possibly could do it tomorrow, but if I do it tomorrow, it has to be it'd have to be an hour later because I don't get done with my private lessons until or I have my last private lesson is at 7. So if I did it tomorrow, it would have to be an hour later. And I did it an hour. I did one last week, and it just didn't seem like there was really many people here. So I don't know if that's just a bad time. I mean, what do you guys think? Is that something that, like, if we did it tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, would that be something that you'd be down for and be able to make? Tell one of your wives to fix the router. Are you insinuating that because I'm in Utah that I have more than one wife? You're killing me tonight, man. Well, just to set the record straight, I don't even have one wife. I did once, and then, I learned from my lesson from that. So I don't have one now. All right. Well, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'll be on tomorrow. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Oh, you check every day for the stream? Awesome. You're supposed to, if you're subscribed to the channel, you'll get a notification. But for some reason, the last two, like last Thursday, and this could be a part of the reason why there wasn't much people here, is that I discovered literally 3 minutes before the stream started that it was unlisted. So no one knew about it. And then today it was unlisted again, and I didn't know. But Jersey actually sent me a message saying, hey, man, there's nothing listed. And so I know that you won't sorry, brain fart. Yeah, but if you're subscribed and as long as it's not set to private, you should get some sort of a notification. Most of us don't know what a good one is. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Rick. I appreciate that. So just, for any of you that have not been, that aren't like OG, like Jersey and stuff, it's not always like a lesson. There'll be like sometimes where it's just like we just like have a talk about certain, like we had a talk about, we did like a debate, between a Les Paul and a Stratocaster. We do stuff like that. It seems to be the most thing that most everybody has interest in, is like having a variety of topics and whatnot. So if I do come on tomorrow, it more than likely won't be like a lesson, but but I don't know. I usually don't know. I figure it out the day that I'm going to do it. Is how I don't really. I'm not really good at planning stuff out. All right. Well, yeah, I'd like to give you a definite answer if I'm going to be on here tomorrow or not, but I just don't know. We'll just have to kind of see how things go. It's a tough day for me to get on and do it, but if it works out that I can, like it did last week, then I will. But anyway, again, because it's all a bull session. Yeah, well, that's I mean, I could sit here and talk about guitar shit all day long. I mean, I have a good time with it. But yeah, again, thanks everybody for coming out. I really appreciate it. And if you didn't already do it, get those tabs. And if you haven't, the routine: like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Because it really helps with for me to be able to keep my job. And yeah, so thanks again, everybody, for coming out, and I hope everybody has a great night, and I will see you soon. Have a good one, everybody.